trip to the quarterfinals on the line in Nashville. And Malik Dia with the tip. Controlled by Travis Perry. Hit a monster performance in the win last night for Ole Miss. 3 on the shot clock. Dia finding some space. Turnaround. Ball!
This Ole Miss team that got off to a terrific start against Texas, especially with the physicality that Scott, 4 and blue, provided. And there he is.
Beautiful slip and finish. Texas, 10 points, 9 boards. He was perfect from the free throw line.
And I think what he does, he
continuing to play hard, and he's gotten it every performance. Stagg from the corner. Santos surreal on the glass and the jam. Ole Miss dominated in the paint in the win against Texas. Dia goes right back to the lane. Fade away. Good. It might have
they're making Surreal have to guard him off the bounce. If you get 2 and wide on the perimeter, make him move his feet.
Smurf Millender left alone. Splashes it down. Dia thinks about the 3. Gets in the paint again and kicks to Carmerdine in the corner. And Frenchman missed train. Collects his miss. Spins baseline. To Perry, unguarded. Perry had a rough shooting night.
You better drive to pass, not to try to score against the whole team.
Georgia looking for its first 3 of the game. Now 0 for 3. Cross court to Perry. 10 on the shot clock. Here's Storr. Leans in and banks it.
An average 2-point distance. Most of them 8-footers. You want to avoid those. Try to get to the rim more. They have so far in Nashville.
Wilkinson off bounds.
We did our curls, and we call them the Abernathy's. You have to get an extra set of Abernathy. So I don't know how much more respect you can have than getting curls named after you.
Storr, the hero for Ole Miss, along with Dia last night. Pinkins picks it up and throws it in. You see A&M and buckyball in the nightcap. Carmody. Boy, it's a lid that is within reach, if not deserving already of a 6.
Yeah, when you think about teams you don't want to run with in the SEC, the first 2 that are on the season right now that we're seeing here in Nashville, this Ole Miss team wasn't playing hard to start the season. There were so many different non-negotiables. He never compromised his standard.
Whoa! Surreal had the block on one end and then the jam on the other. Off the feed from Surreal helps out, now picks up Scott. Here's Storr for 3. Got it!
He sure
moving
does.
in that direction.
Yeah, but what I love about him, and opponents know, like, he's not just an athlete. He is a high motor energy guy.
Carmerdine for 3.
All he cared about on his Zoom recruiting call was, can I do laundry?
On the floor for the first time in a long time for Ole Miss. Wilkins nearly turned it over. And a nice floater. 3 on the shot clock for Storr. Fade away. Good. Bulls have led from the jump. 5-point advantage now. Ole Miss never trailed in its tournament opening win against Texas. Perry gets one to
after that 3-point make, and looks down at his bench like, finally I got one to drop. And to see him almost relieved is a great sign for Ole Miss.
Georgia. Storr size advantage on Smurf. They brought a double. Perry open. Perry again. Too strong.
Boy, look
in the hands of Blue Kane, who passed on an open 3.
And the Georgia bench frustrated. They're tired of seeing him pump fake. They want Blue Kane to shoot the 3 more, especially those.
Finally picks up the screen from Scott. Goes right around Santos Surreal. Out to Perry again. Got it again.
And yes, the 3s are starting to drop for him, but the bigger surprise is holding the Georgia Bulldogs to 14 points so far.
Good finish by Kareem. Perry fade away. That was a Justin Bailey for 3. Under 4 to play in the first half. Pinkins dancing with it.
It's at least the 3rd time he's been able to slap it back for an extra possession for Ole Miss.
Pinkins short.
We'll see. They go to the Sweet 16. And we all know that, look, this year we talked about how he turned his life over to Christ, and he used to be very foul-mouthed, and we said he went from Richard Pryor, Nate Bargatze.
With AJ, and he said, what do you need from us? How can we make you more comfortable? What can we do for you? As Dia converts a hand. It's not very often that Chris Beard is going to give the player that level of freedom within his system. Here's Carmerdine, left-hand finish. What a first for Malik Dia. at Ensworth High School. Grew up down the road to Murfreesboro. Then they went to Kentucky and found a win in Rupp for just the 5th time in school history. And Surreal
said, you know, that was the toughest we've had in terms of trying to get to the rim, get quality twos. They were 0 for 6 on layups and just 2 for 2 on.
Catchings knocked down 5 threes in the win against Mississippi State to close the season. Down holding his left hip. That's been an injury for him over the course of the season early in league play.
You see the 3 quick triggers in a row. He's had several of those this season. He had it against Chinulu, as you mentioned early in that game against Florida.
They need instant offense and need to pick up the pace. Probably doesn't kill him to play a smaller lineup. Dia from the corner. That's
waste a lot of clock. When Georgia presses, they're looking to score if they get an open look, and they'll take their time in the half court if it presents itself.
Dia feeling dozen points from Malik Dia. Here's Kareem Stagg for 3.
The game to be Georgia's 3s versus Ole Miss 2s. That might be how they have to come back in this thing.
Take away and a triple. Dia answers.
It's been so fun to watch his progress over the last 8 games, averaging 20 points per game.
Scott. Dia powers his way inside. Combined the last 2 games for Malik Dia. Stagg. That hasn't worked for Georgia all night. They'll try again. There's Millender. And Georgia's 38 attempts have come from deep tonight. Extra touch. Here's Pinkins. Push shot good.
This Ole Miss team has not played the scoreboard, and you see the aggressive defense right now, not taking a play off.
Wilkins in the game for Georgia, along with Justin Bailey, who just knocked down that 3. Not been largely a disappointment. It took an act of God, really, for Georgia to win that thing when a tornado ripped through the Georgia Dome. Wilkinson.
Watch out.
4 to shoot for Perry. Behind the back. Off balance. Heaves a 3. That's an air ball. And a shot clock violation as Georgia picked. How Mike White has been willing to use that bench. And with the struggles of his starters, especially from deep, these guys have helped him climb back in and make it. Perry beats his man, lobs it in for a
really nice read by Perry.
Georgia gets an and 1 on the leaner by Jordan Ross. Jordan Ross knows postseason success. Played for Randy Bennett at St. Mary's. It's a 3-point play for Ross. Ross working on Scott. And another whistle against Ole Miss.
James without fouling the jump shooter.
Catchings. Crossed over Jiffa. Floater good. Here comes Georgia. Bailey beats Dia. Gets it to the rack. Follow tip is there. Dillon. Another steal. Bulldogs coming down the track. Corner 3. Good! Cannon. 7:21 mark of the first half. Store over Kane. In and out. Georgia has outscored Ole Miss by 11. Kane struggling from deep. Dishes inside for the jam. Dylan James has another. Clofley gets it across the timeline. Perry with the pump fake. Fires a 3. And that is an answer Ole Miss has been looking for.
That is a huge...
Hesitation move by Wilkinson. Beat his man for the layup. Went right around.
We haven't seen it so far, though.
Yeah, 7 turnovers this half for Ole Miss. Wilkinson, he can heat up in a hurry. Scott with the block. Out of bounds off of Ole Miss. Wilkinson. No good. Rebounded by Catchings, and he hangs and hits. Storm is able to. It's Texas.
This is a guy right here that really doesn't.
More nervous than he is. The veteran knocks them both down.
Something that has haunted them. They play well, but can they close?
Tapped up a right to Kane, and he takes a bump and earns a whistle. I kind of get the feeling that Mike White will go to another wave of subs. It was the bench players who started this run. Here's Storr getting deep, and it rolls home. Comes Georgia, shot out of the cannon. Millender, Catchings. Cannon Catchings for three. Yes, sir!
I do think
it inside, taken away. Georgia can tie it with a three. They go for a two, the monster jam.
I think they can't just sit there and watch Storr go to work one-on-one. Somebody else has to contribute offensively.
And so it's Klopke who's been on the bench for Ole Miss over the last few minutes. Millender back outside, and a whistle and a foul against Catchings. Drives, kicks, stolen away by Storr. 5-point lead for Ole Miss. Behind the back, Storr knifes his way in. They thought that was goaltending. The glass for Georgia as Klopke brings it down. Stolen away by the Dogs. Ross got it, and he's going to the line. Who's got a couple of game winners already this season. Here's Wilkinson. It was halfway home, it didn't go. Tap out and get another chance. And on the drive, draws the whistle. 5-point lead. Scott into the corner, pump fake and a foul. Pressure on him. We approach the 1 minute mark. It's a 2-possession lead for the Rebels. Storr banks it in. Huge shot by AJ.
Long rangy team.
Very great free throw shooter. Gives it up. Now Klopke has it. There's a foul. They're still not in the bonus. And the lead.
Three. Now, as much as Ole Miss likes to load up in the paint on help side, in these situations, don't be surprised. No three-point defense.
Millender, half a minute to play, gets all the way in and gets it home.
When you go back to the last 5 games, double overtime loss to LA.
Kind of a funky
over the top, and you know he's going to try to tap it out. You got 2 shooters on the perimeter.
Knocks them both home. Wheels came off. Storr misses the front end. Here comes Millender. 10 to play. Down 4. They got to get a couple of shots off. Now 6 on the clock. Dunk with 5 points.
Johnson buried Ole Miss with a dagger from about 40 feet that was uncontested. Their pickup points must be better. You see it right
here. Wins and a date with Alabama tomorrow. In Nashville to win 1 game. We came here to win 1 game at a time. They have done that back-to-back days. 4 SEC games during the season. Notched 2 wins here in Music City. The postseason.